Hello, my creative friends. I'm Heather North from heatherscreativeblessings.com. My card today is based on this inspiration photo from Stampin' Celebration. I'm going to take the crumb cake and the blues and some of the other elements from that and create a card. So I'm starting with this big flower from the You've Got This stamp set from Stampin' Up. I'm inking it up with some black StazOn ink and just stamping it onto some Whisper White cardstock. The reason I chose this ink is that it is waterproof. And I'm not going to be doing watercolor today like I normally do. Instead, I'm going to use my blender pen. I have here just a little squeegee that I'm using to quickly clean off my stamp, but I will use some StazOn stamp cleaner later probably to really get it clean. Okay, so for the blender pen technique, what you do is you take your ink pad, just open it part way and squeeze it together. This is Marina Mist ink. You can also stamp that ink just onto a non-porous surface. What you're trying to do is just to get some ink that you can pick up with your blender pen and then color in your flowers like I'm doing here. I start with the petals that I think are going to be a little bit darker, a little more in shadow, and then blend it out and move as I get less ink in my blender pen. I move it to other petals that are going to be lighter. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Basically what I want is just a variation in shades of this blue. I kind of wish I had just stopped here, but I decided to go ahead and add some Night of Navy. So I did the same thing. I opened the lid part way, squeezed the stamp pad together so they could get some ink onto that lid, and then I'm picking it up with my blender pen. And you can see that Night of Navy is a lot darker than the Marina Mist, and it didn't blend very well. Part of this is that's just the nature of the blender pen and the Whisper White cardstock, but the other thing is that my blender pen is almost dry. It's not very juicy and wet, and so I am struggling here to blend. If I were to do this over again, I would change a couple of things. I think I would just go in with a Marina Mist again. I would also go and grab a new blender pen because these things come in a 3-pack. So I still have another one left. It's just been a really long time since I had used this, and I didn't realize how dry it had become. I decided to experiment here, and I pulled in some Soft Sky ink, and I did the leaves and stem with this, and then I pulled in a little bit of crumb cake, and then I really didn't like the end result. You'll see what I end up doing to fix that, but I decided to just keep on going here and see what I can come up with for my card. While I'm trying to decide what to do, I'm going to go ahead just building my background base. So I have here the burlap stamp, and this is also from the You've Got This stamp set. I'm going to ink it up with crumb cake ink, and this was my very first time using it. So I'm stamping it off on my grid mat a few times just to see how it stamps and what I want for my paper. So what I did was I stamped off once on my grid mat and then stamped it onto my card base. This is just a standard Whisper White card base. And now I'm going to take some washi tape, and I got this because of the little stripes on the cake and also the little dots, and I thought I could bring in some of the black and gold. I don't know if there's really gold in the inspiration photo, but there's that brown neutral, so I thought this would work. At this point, I decided to just scrap the blender pen flower and grab my Night of Navy ink and stamp the flower directly onto my card base. You could cut or tear the washi tape off, but I decided to just peel it around to the inside of the card because I don't mind seeing that on the inside, and it gives it a nice finished edge on the outside. The sentiment I chose it basically because I thought it would be the best design-wise. It was just a straight line. It could go at the base of my flower, and it says, "I'm here for you." This is my first time using this stamp as well, so I'm inking it up and I'm stamping it off on my grid mat. This is just to make sure that there's no residue left on it and that I get a good, clear, crisp image, and I did. So I inked it up again with a Night of Navy and just stamped it on my card base. My card could be done here, but at this point I decided to try fussy cutting out the flower that I colored earlier with the blender pen, just to see how it would look. I decided I kind of liked it now that it was fussy cut out. So I took some Tombow Mono multi-glue and I'm just adhering it to my card base. You could take dimensionals and pop it up a little bit if you wanted to. And I just rub it in, make sure it's on there, hold it in place. And then with glue, I like to flip the piece over and just rub it from the back side. That way I don't shift it and move it as I am making sure that it gets adhered all the way around. Thank you for sticking with me through the twists and turns of this card and finding out what I would do differently. And even though this card is not perfect, it's still something that I would be proud to send. I hope that you will join us for the Stampin' Celebration Challenge. It runs for 2 weeks. I will have more information on my blog along with links that you can follow. I look forward to seeing what you create based on this challenge. Bye!